Welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Street Day. Who cares? 4,433. It's a Wednesday, but I'm joined by the immutably perfect Mr. Sam Morgan. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, mate. How you going?
Really happy to see you in full 1080p.
No cheating tonight. You'll be able to see all the pips
of your eyes. Hello, everyone who's joined us live. Me and Sam are going to be talking about all of the lists featuring a small event over in Australia called G-Con, but a nice opportunity to hear Sam's thoughts, really, on a lot of meta lists and how he kind of thinks the game is at the moment. And, of course, we all appreciate listening to Sam, so lovely having him here. Thank you to everyone in Twitch chat for joining us live. I see there's a bunch of you, like Arepa, Raykar, Tomb King Tristan. I want to say thanks to Jimmy Conius, and also huge shout-out to Pragmatic for donating 5 gift subscriptions in the chat. That's some big energy this early in the morning, so thank you so much. That's great. Hello, everyone. I am Delister. Hi, all. First time here. Usually just watching YouTube. Good times. Thanks for being here. All right, Sam, catch us up. How you been? You been well?
Good, mate. Good. I'm just back at work, so I've had 11 months off, and I'm 3 days in. So
wow.
lost a little bit of hobby time, but I ran the numbers, and I've got 61 games in this calendar year, 61 games on the table. So I've been able to get a lot of Warhammer in that free time, and now I probably have to scale it back a little bit.
Which is like only like one less per week or something.
Yeah, that's right. I dropped from 3 to 2.
So Sam's based over in Australia. For some people who don't know, so obviously playing in person is super cool and all okay where he is, just in case someone was like, what? And then follow-up is you've also, because I'm going to have to ask you about this, I'm going to also enunciate my words. I picked up a real Nottinghamshire accent during lockdown, not enjoying it at all. The other day I caught myself saying tomorrow. No, it's tomorrow. Whole word. Let's go. You've set up your own YouTube channel doing, I think, amazing videos on Age of Sigmar stuff. Could you tell us about what it is, kind of like elevator pitch, and then we'll include the link in the show notes, and then also kind of like how you've, like your experiences with it. First off, elevator pitch.
All right, so the channel is called The List Lab. And basically the idea is that I really enjoyed the content that you've been putting out with Darren. I really enjoy some of the stuff my mate Tubbs does on Twitter, which is, really focused, honed analysis about specific lists and preferably janky lists, stuff that's a bit off meta but is also competitive. So as a starting point, I thought that's the type of content that I enjoy sort of as a viewer. So I'm going to try and make that myself. Maybe a broad criticism of Age of Sigmar content is sometimes it can be a little bit like long-winded, or it can maybe lack some clarity. So no,
we are like
you guys are high volume, high quality, which is a rare combination. So for me, it's like I want to be concise. I want to be clear. I want to be correct. I want to be cogent. I want to be comical. Like I want to have a channel where I'm punching out videos that are like 30 minutes a week, focused on a particular topic. Generally, that'll be lists, but sometimes I'm sort of delving into other areas as well.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, like it's always been kind of a dream of mine to do a more condensed show afterwards. But honestly, once I've like done the long talk, it's it just seems like I'm then recovering old ground. And also, like, I think there's, like, I think when it's put together so well like yours is, and I, again, think it's excellent, so I'm just letting, not just because we're friends, I think it's genuinely good. It's rare that there's content for me, because, like you say, long format stuff is something I don't necessarily have time for, so I like more condensed information, and I think it's really positive. But I also find, for me as a caster, those long form conversations are very worthwhile. Like I almost need to push all those ideas out. I can't think at a computer and type. It's not where my brain works. Like I need to be in a room or online with some people talking, and then we kind of communicate with each other, and then I kind of at the end of it get like a throwaway TLDR of like how I feel and what's going on. So yeah, but amazing stuff. Have you found it? What's the experience been like?
Yeah, it's been really fun. I enjoy the putting it together. And doing the editing and all that sort of stuff. I'm not particularly good at it yet. I need a bit of practice, but it feels like every time I do it, I'm more comfortable. I can't get the levels right. So you've given me some advice around the decibel range, and then other people have given me advice around turning down gain so that the minimum volume matches another part of the volume, and that's been a bit of a challenge. But yeah, otherwise I've really enjoyed doing it. I'm like overwhelmed by the level of interaction that it's received so far. So that the number of views, the comments, the things people are sending me in terms of DMs have all been super heartening, and they really sort of do make it worthwhile. But I'm not really doing it for anyone else. I'm just doing it because I enjoy it at the moment, and that's a really nice spot to be. Yeah, it's funny, like Twitter is a terrible medium for talking about Warhammer, and Twitter is too concise, and then like a 3-hour podcast is too long. So I'm trying to hit somewhere in between those two things. I think it was
Go on,
yeah, go for it.
No, you go.
I think it was Mark Twain. He said like, "Oh, sorry, I wrote a long letter. I didn't have time to do a short one." Like it is actually a little bit time consuming trying to condense them down, because you just want to talk about all these different things, and it's this huge ecosystem. So as soon as you start talking about something, there's all these adjacent points that actually feel relevant or interesting, and it's just a question of which of those actually make it in.
Which is why Twitter, as you said, is a terrible medium, although I tweet all the time now, mainly to save lives.
Me too.
To save humanity. I tweet to save humanity, so that's why I do it. Yeah, because when I put up a tweet, because it's so short, there's no context. But quite often there'll be like a 3-hour podcast tied to the context. And I assume everyone who's on my Twitter has listened. So when I get some reply, I'm like, okay, you haven't engaged with everything I've said previously, and you don't really get where I'm at. But you can just put up a picture of a model and say model, and you're like into the hundreds of likes. So who cares about Twitter? But also, I tweet to save lives, right? So I mean, it's a great thing. I'm hoping we get to see more List Lab stuff coming from you in the future. Very much looking forward to it. Thanks for doing it as well for the community, because again, more great content is really valuable for all of us. Should we talk about the lists? Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
So this is an event over. This is called G-Con. Which is really, really fun. So this is a small... Where exactly is it?
So we're in Greensborough, which is the northern suburbs of Melbourne, and they've got a club there called the Dirty D6, which has just sort of kicked off in the last 12 months. And J Mac, the guy who's running this event, he actually went to his first event in January this year. He went to SmorganCon, and then since then he's subsequently been to two-days. He's running now his second event, and he's just really like thrown himself into the community. He's doing amazing work out in the Greensborough area.
Amazing. Okay, that's really exciting. So if you guys are around there, you should go and check it out. Yeah. Okay, sweet. And how many players? It's a smaller event, but that's not...
It's just a one-dayer. Yeah, it's 18 players. We've got a 2-dayer coming up in about, 3 or 4 weeks' time. So this is an opportunity for everyone to test their lists before they submit, and it has the same scenarios and a similar scoring model.
Oh, wow. Brilliant. Thanks to Destructo John for donating 5 gift subscriptions in the chat. That's incredibly awesome of you. And you've gifted us a gift subscription to my man, Sigmar. So me and him go dancing in Nottingham. I didn't even know he watched the show. The fact that he watches the show is one of the happiest. He's like you. Like, he's so fucking good. So, yeah, I'm so happy he's watching. All right, you're all great, though, everyone watching. Bob and you tall bastard, we're going to dance one time. Right, okay, let's talk through these lists, shall we? First up, we've got Josh Richardson running his IDK and Futh one. I'm going to read out the list, Sam, and then I'm going to kind of ask you not only how do you feel about the list, but more importantly, how you feel about the list in the meta. Like, not even necessarily this event, just in general. So it's Volty in Futh 1 really important. 2 Soul Scryers, which I think is quite interesting. An Eidolon Aspect to the Storm. Then you've got 3 Ishelin Guard twice, and then you've got 3 Morsar Guard once. And then you've got 3 Sharks, so 3 Alapexes with a Razor Shell Harpoon. And then you've got the Achillean Leviathan with a reverberating Carpe, so that's obviously extending the range of that +1 save, is what they're doing, and the Sharks are shooter versions. How do you feel about Deep Key and generally in the meta anyway, and lists like this, Sam?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, I think Josh is the reigning champ. So this is G-Con 2. I think he's coming with a crown, and he literally gets a crown and a scepter, so he's going to be rocking that round 1. And sadly for Josh, I think he'll be losing round 1 because this list isn't particularly good. What can we say? The Ishlayan, they're a trap, man. They're a trap. They're just not going to do the damage you need to win games of Age of Sigmar. And the same is true of the Turtle. So we got these updates through, I think it was Marathi. They were the first book, weren't they? And the internet was sort of losing their mind about how strong Idoneth are defensively. But they sort of missed the point, and that's that Idoneth win games through output and punch, and every time you trade a Morsar Guard unit for something, you need that unit to then be doing a commensurate amount of damage to still be able to win the game. So there'll be some matchups where 2-up unrendable eels are unstoppable, but the reality is on the top tables, Zench, Seraphon, Lumineth Realm Lords all have a number of ways of doing extremely high mortal wounds, so they just work around that ignore save anyway. The aspect of the storm is brilliant, and the double soul scryer is super interesting. So if he's able to pull off some plays with those, that could keep him in games. But I don't like this type of Idoneth list. I like 7 times Morsar Guard and 2 or 3 times Aetherwing, depending on points.
Well, so I think one of the things it's all good. I think one of the actually interesting things about this is the dynamically different way in which the army plays versus the 7 Morsar, for example. Mm-hmm. So what we would see trading quite a lot. So you'd put 3 on an objective that get knocked off by maybe one of their big punch units. I don't know, some Marauders, Fire Sleds, whatever it might be. And then you would obviously you would trade back into them, especially because you're really looking to just hold off until turn 3. That's how you were trying to set up your tempo. In this situation, everything you're trading with is something that's fairly valuable, although fairly hardy as well. Like the Eastling Guard when they've got that +2 save. So I agree with you, because it's not like he's avoided it. The double Soul Scryer is an interesting choice.
That's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Because you've seen that generally go away. Generally, the concept of dropping down and deep striking was kind of like 2 years ago, as opposed to kind of the more like the Eels over the last year. Okay, so that's Josh. Big shout out to Josh, and then Matt Ken. I was like reading this. I was like, am I losing my mind? But no. So Matt's got an Idoneth list as well, which is Futh 1. Similarly, Volti, obviously with a Void Shield Darkness mount trait. Eidolon with a Cloud of Midlight, and then he's got 2 times 3 Eastling Guard against the defensive ones, a bigger brick of 6 Morsar Guard, and then he's got 1 Shark with the Net Launcher, so that's the can't pile in shot, and then the 2 Alapexes with the Razor Shell harpoons, so longer range shooting. And then obviously the Leviathan, but this one it's ancient, so it's going to ignore all Pippa Rend. How do you feel about this list instead?
I don't know. No Soul Scryer is a bit of a worry, isn't it? Everything's starting on the board, and it means that your opponent has an opportunity to counter deploy and to have a sense of, where at least you're starting. I get that the army's fast and they get run and charged twice in this sub faction. Matt's been playing like 50 or 55 Blight Kings, so I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see that he's shifted armies. This one again, I think it's going to be pretty situational. But to me, it feels objectively worse than just running Morsar Guard. So
yeah.
So
I don't. Our man Adam in the chat, Plymouth Trollslayer, said people need to stop being hipster and just embrace 27 fire eels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's the play. Matt's a good player, but I don't see this list being particularly good.
Okay, all right. So next up, and for context, by good you mean because I think that can comfortably 3-2-4-1 comfortably. Mm-hmm. It's more into the top tier bracket, the Champions League, Super League of books. Right, Marcus P has got an OCR Bone Reapers list in Mortis Praetorians from Uglu. So he's got Catacross, and he's got Nagash, and then he's got 20, 10, 10 Mortek Guard. He's got the Umbral Spell Portal, and he's got the Burning Head. Cute little trick with the Burning Head, making it so that Protection Nagash is going to teleport himself. Proc that. So that's a DPR save that if he fails, he gets to teleport Nagash, and he gets to do that in his own hero phase, which means he's then got the ability to move and charge. It's very, 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 very good. How do you feel about this kind of pseudo teleporting Nagash list?
I know I sent you the scenarios. I just want to see, what are we playing? Scorched Earth, shifting objectives, and focal points. This list should be awful at Scorched Earth. Oh my god. So you got 5 units. Great. I played against this recently, and I played against Arthur from South London Legion, Vulgaris. He's now, on a 71 game winning streak against me, so that's good. That's really good for my ego. If I really want to get a kicking, I just give him a call and say, "Hey mate, you're free for a game." He obviously beat me to extend the streak. And I wonder if this is him playing under an alias. He's trying to get those reps in. Um, it's a really good list. It's really cool. What's his name? Nagash gives you so much utility. Obviously, with a build like this, where what's he got 42 models, it's gonna suffer in a lot of matchups. But equally, there's going to be a number of armies that just cannot deal with it. And I think it's really fun. I think it's a really fun and interesting list. And I think. In a 5-game event, it probably is a 3-2 list, but in a one-dayer, you could definitely get the run you need and cop 3 opponents that just can't deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nagash is a beat stick at the end of the day, as is Catacross. There's a lot of control in the list as well, which I think is pretty important. But yeah, those Mortarch, it plays very similar to the Host Arcanum list. I think you've got to deal with Nagash, but then you got to deal with scoring units. I really like that. Bevan B, big shout out Bevan, is running Boulderhead Ogre Moor Tribes, Frostlord and Stonehorn. We're mainly an Ogre Moor Tribes channel now. I think recently it's become it wasn't on purpose. It's just I fallen in love with the battle tone because of 3 War Scrolls apparently. So Frostlord and Stonehorn. So it's in Boulderhead, so +1 wound on all the monsters. Frostlord and Stonehorn, Huskard on Thundertusk. Then it's those 4 Mournfang, and then it's 3 Thundertusk Beast Riders all in the Torbad Battalion, and then there's an extra command point in there as well. So, you can command abilities, you can fight on the top bracket. The Thundertusks are put out there's 4 of them, so he's actually going to be rolling 48 dice at a 30-inch threat range, fishing for mortals and stuff. And then you've got to deal with the Frostlord and Stonehorn as well. How do you feel about Ogre Moor Tribes and lists like this?
I love Ogre Moor Tribes. I think that book is incredibly deep, and that perhaps a lot of us missed the mark when we thought it was just about the Stonehorns. I think Stuart's shown that both Yetis and Iron Guts have play. There's some cool stuff you can do with Skull builds. And Bevan actually went 4-1 at Bendigo with this list. I think he top 10'd, which is just really, really cool. Because obviously the Thundertusk is massively underrepresented on any table, let alone the top table. The other thing that it does is that the Everwinter, so it's doing mortal wounds in the hero phase, and then it's doing the prayer gets a buff in this sub-faction, so it does like a you pick a point and then all of the units within a distance of that are taking mortal wounds. So the volume of mortal wounds across the army is really significant. Obviously, them all counting as 10 models is really fantastic as well. So yeah, I think based on his recent performance, and based on the fact that the Ogre Moor Tribes book is a sleeper book, this one could do really well.
Yeah, I agree. And if it goes into the right matchups, can do really well. Like we saw with Steven actually just from the weekend, just clearing out those 180 skinks. And then if it goes to the wrong matchup like that Archeon, it's pretty much a whitewash. So yeah, big fan of this.
Do we know what time it was for the Skinks player? I assume they were drunk. I watched that game. That was awful. That was just I'm gonna push my toys up and just let you take them off.
Just hope.
Dude, just one screen and you win the game. That was a strange one to be a viewer for.
It was, and also showing that I thought that Seraphon was super smooth brain, but no, you can mess it up. So that was interesting. Right, so next up, Mateo, Sons of Behemoth. So he's got the Stomper tribe. He's got the War Stomper Mega Gargant. He's got those 2x3 Man Crushers, and then he's got 3x1 Man Crushers. So just the one Mega Gargant. How do you feel about this list, Mega Gargants? And Mateo, you said was a fairly new player.
Yeah, I think this is his first tournament, so I've not met him before. Hopefully, he has a really awesome time. I think he's taken the Giants in a direction which probably is going to be the most consistent. I think that particular tribe from a damage output perspective, and the extra command abilities that they have access to, is probably the best new player tribe. I think the tribe where you get additional bodies for objectives, and the Kraken Eaters, the general, is probably the best overall, but it's probably a bit more nuanced and difficult to play. So I think
it also plays very different to how you would expect them all to play, which is
100%. Yeah, there's what is it? Cognitive dissonance with that army. I think good luck to this bloke. I don't like that book at all. I think I want to separate the player from the book. The book is just a joke, and it's the sort of book that once it's been to 3 events, you'll see those players that spiked and got lucky with a 4-1 at the first event, back down on the bottom tables where they belong. So
Yeah, agreed.
I got no time for it.
Let's just move on then.
It has a visceral effect on me, Rob.
Same. Although I'm over it a bit, but yeah, same. And also, but what's nice is for Matteo is he's gone the other route. He hasn't gone for the objective holding route. He's gone for I'm gonna just go and punch stuff, which I think is cool.
And he can do throwing. This actually has shooting, this army.
Yeah, quite a bit. I quite like double gatebreaker. I do. I really do like a double gatebreaker build, just because I think the players are there like to just smash, do stuff, and there's some genuine output. But like, yeah, I still think it's not the best. Right, so Prop Joe, thank you for resubscribing, by the way. I just need to say a massive thank you to you. That's super awesome of you. What up? Bottom tables where they belong. This list has room. Okay, the Mostin power. Cool. Right, next up, this list. But big shout out to Matteo. Everyone who's new going to events, big love to you, especially.
It's an awesome environment there as well. Like in terms of its location, it's really beautiful. You can see like the start of the bush. There's good food there. The people are really nice. You couldn't ask for a better place to kick off your tournament career.
Perfect. Right, so next up, this list. I don't think it says the player. I don't know why, but it's Tzeentch Host Arcanum, and we've talked about this forever at this stage. Archeon, Kairos, Blue Scribes, Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Great Brave Shaman, which is slightly different to the one we saw at the weekend, but obviously Goat Watch is key. 1 unit of 10 Pink Horrors, 2 units of Screamers in the Umbral Spell Portal. Sam, we obviously saw this play. We've seen this play a lot on TTS now, and obviously I did a lot of coverage over the weekend. I've even done a Monday kind of deep dive show. What's your overall feeling on this kind of list?
It's super strong, isn't it? It's like the Tzeentch book provides a range of options for you, so that you're just not playing Warhammer, like the Destiny dice and the little agendas, and then you couple that with the pre-game move, automatically dispelling spells or unbinding spells in 3 phases, dispelling every single hero phase for free twice. Like it just that's incredibly strong. This is Big EP who's running this list, and I played Big EP at club the other night legitimately in an open play game, and I didn't read the room, and my list was so strong, and his list was so fun. So I probably am like deserving of a return punch from Big EP. So I think if he cops me on the weekend, he will beat me with this list. But yeah, whenever you're playing open play, the first thing to do is just to box out the rules of engagement and understand what you're doing. But that was my mistake. This is great. I mean, this is like our man Bud's been playing this heaps on TTS. Fantastic and best dude, absolute ripper. And he's sort of, I think, new to Filth, so he's progressively learning it and getting better at it. He's not just winning all his games. The list on its own isn't just going to give you a 5-0. You need to play well. And you need to avoid bad matchups, because I think that there are some that might not have happened over the weekend. We might have seen, an aberrant number of Tzeentch lists at the top, but I don't think that necessarily is representative of them being the best army in the meta at the moment.
Yeah, and that's an interesting take. Like Colonel Cabby's saying that he thinks that this is the meta list at the moment. Dajun asks who open play is. No, it's what is, but hilarious. I love that. Thanks to Tristan for resubscribing for 29 months. Big love, baby. Get it gone. And I think kind of that brings up a question of something like a theory that's bandied around at the minute, that if you should play a bad army to be better, but obviously playing a good army to get better. You got any thoughts on that?
You should play whatever you like playing. And you shouldn't care what other people think. And if someone tries to hobby shame you because you're playing Filth, fuck them. And if someone tries to hobby shame you because you're not doing well, also fuck them. Just roll dice and enjoy yourself.
Perfect. My exact sentiments.
Yep.
Right, so Anthony Z is taking a Mortis Praetorians list as well for OCR Bone Reapers. It's Catacross and Archon this time as opposed to Nagash, which means he's got more bodies. Well, a lot more, actually. So he's got 20 more tech, 10 more tech, 10 more tech, like the list we saw previously. But then in addition, he's got 5 Kavalos Death Riders, and he's got 2 units of Mortec Crawlers and the Bone Tithe Shrieker, which I'm surprised we don't see more of.
It's really good. Yep.
Really good. Really, really good. But those 2 Crawlers in there as well. I know Owen, like as a long-time OCX player, has moved on from Crawlers into Harvesters. That's kind of where he's at. I think it's because of the ability to pin down Crawlers. But OCRs and kind of the inclusion of Crawlers in OCR lists. Have you got any feelings on this?
I love Crawlers. I've been playing Crawlers in Mixed Death, and I'm alternating between the Burning Head or the Bone Tithe Shrieker, because, one's +1 to hit, one's reroll, one's to hit. It there's no right choice, but both of those things are amazing at buffing the crawlers. Crawlers can change a lot of matchups where the opposing armies' buffs and synergies are built around the 5 or 6 wound models, or even the 4 wound models in the case of skinks, and they can really flip those. And the crawler gives you an auto win against Gits, and it gives you an auto win against Skaven in my experience. So those 2 games you rack up and you've just won the game. I do want to quickly give Anthony a shout out though. So I first met Anthony at Games Workshop Ringwood in the late 90s. I went to his 12th birthday party like 20 years ago. His parents drove us all to the local Warhammer club that I didn't usually get to go to. We were just like starstruck because some of the big names for Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition and 40k, like whatever edition, were there. They got us fish and chips. It was awesome. It was really cool. I haven't actually ever played a game of Warhammer against Anthony, but I've known him now for 20 years. So it's really cool that he's getting into the scene. And he won a Golden Demon back in the day as well. So hopefully he's still a really good painter. That would be cool.
That's amazing. And also a great story. I love that, especially fish and chips.
Yeah, I know. That's
Who doesn't want some fish and chips?
Yeah, when you're like 12 or 13 years old, big time, man.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, absolutely. Right, so great list, and also I love that. So I kind of want Anthony to do well just based on the story now. Right, so then you got Nick M. So he's got Stormcast Eternals, and this time he's gone for a Stormkeep, but it's a homebrew. Thank you, by the way, to Dave Frazier for resubscribing. You keep being sassy on Twitter. Love that forever. Love that. Knight Haralda, Lord Castellant, Lord Relictor. It's got Translocation, and of course the Lord Castellant has got Staunch Defender. And then he's got 2 lots of 5 Liberators and 5 Free Guild Handgunners, which I really like in there. 2 lots of 10 Chameleon Skinks, which I think is great. And then 6 Evocators on Dracoline. That's a 520-point unit. How do you feel about it? Yeah.
Get in.
How do you feel about this list?
It's really cool. So he's got 10 Evos as well. So this one punches out a heap of mortal wounds. So the Evocators on foot and the Evocators on Dracoline. I think I'm playing him round 1, so I'm pretty sure that he had 2 units of Evos. Let's have a look. He's got
1 unit of Evocators on Dracoline, but he's got 2 units of Liberators.
No, I reckon he's got more.
It's just
you might
off
not
the
be
list.
Possibly. It's on mine. So he's got 6 Evocators on Dracoline and then 10 on foot.
Okay.
And it comes to 2,000 points. Otherwise, he'd be a bit short with your version, even with a quarter of the points being in that 1 unit of Drax. So this is really cool. The camo skinks obviously punch out mortal wounds. The Evocators, they actually do a fair bit of damage. I think they're really good. Then he's got the extra defense from Staunch, and the artifact that comes out of that homebrew Storm Host is reroll 6s to hit from shooting. So that's obviously really good in this meta as well. Nick is also relatively new, so I think he went to the Vic GT out in Bendigo. He messaged me and he said, I hope you're scared because, I was the 2nd highest ranked Stormcast player at Vic GT.
Of 2.
and then he followed it up with of 2.
Takes me back to Warhammer Fantasy Battle Days, South Coast GT, 8th edition, Chaos Dwarves. There I go, walking home with my best Chaos Dwarf player trophy. I was like, I came 114th, but best Chaos Dwarf player. I'm cool with that. Great. There's lots in this list, but I think it has some inherent weaknesses, of course, as well. It can be fairly tanky, but I like that it's making up for the weaknesses. So what I mean by that is big punch unit in the Evocators, either one, they don't fly. But the camo skinks for keeping people honest in the backboard, and then some handgunners for holding objectives and projecting power in the midfield. It's quite nice.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and you can trade.
Yeah, I like screens that can do multiple things, and that's certainly what the handgunners can do. I think Stormcast as a book, they're obviously in dire need of a new book, so they're probably just marginally ahead of Slanesh and Sylvaneth, and probably down there with Sons of Behemoth. So we probably got 3 or 4 lists from S tier, and then 3 or 4 lists from the very bottom tier. And all things being equal, hopefully those guys don't end up cross-pollinating or something. Hopefully the S tiers play each other and the bottom tiers play each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
Can I just thank Sam the Great for gifting a gift subscription in the chat? That's fucking super lovely of you. That's lovely. Thanks very much. Loads and loads. Oh, there's the Evocators. God, I'm dumb. Right, okay, next up. Just scroll down like 1 second, Rob. Anyway, next up is you've got James, and he's got a Nurgle army. Blessed Sons, of course. Harbinger of Decay. Is the new Broken Realms tech list in effect at this event yet? Or have they got the 4-week cutoff as well?
I don't know what the call was about FAQs. I have a feeling that we're just stuff that has an FAQ, because that's typically how we like to play. And yeah, a lot of like Lumineth don't even have an FAQ yet, so a lot of the stuff is probably is probably the old money, old book, old money.
That's the correct way to do it, in my opinion. Because I was looking at this, so. I was excited for Nurgle because I saw a Nurgle list and I was like, oh. Sorry, everyone. Just sneezed on camera. That's the worst. Thanks to Cold Shoulder for resubscribing. Anyway, Harbinger of Decay, Gutrot Spume, Lord of Blights, and Be'lakor, old money, 240 points. And then 40 Blight Kings. So 3 10s, 2 5s. My preferred way of running Blight Kings, actually, as opposed to Brig Bricks of 15 and 20. And then all in the Blight Cyst. So, yeah, and an extra command point spent in there as well, straight away to kind of avoid a battle shock or something. How do you feel about these Blight King lists and kind of DPS checklists in as a whole?
I really like this take on it. I think bringing the Harbinger in for the 5+ DPR with the number of mortal wounds that are in the meta at the moment, that's a nice move. And then through the Blessed Sons, obviously, if someone dies on a 2+, you're splashing back a mortal wound. And when you've got 35 Blight Kings, that can start to become really significant. So it's that you do 30 mortals as splashback. The summoning in Nurgle is pretty good. So bringing on 10 Plague Bearers to hold home objectives is actually, they're pretty tough to get through because they have innate debuffs. And then the command trait is that he gets a free 6-inch run every turn. So you couple that with the fact that you get run and charge from the trees, and he's actually then able to be really quick at getting across the board. And then he's got a deep striking unit as well. I love this list. I think it's really clever. I think it's really strong, and I hate playing against Be'lakor in an army that's already really hard to get through, because it could just turn off your hammer. It can turn off your hammer for two really important turns of the game. It's an awful matchup. It's an awful matchup for me with the Witherstave being just unit within 12, reroll 6s to hit, and we've obviously seen how effective that is on Archaon. And I think that coupled with the already tankiness of Nurgle is just a great combination. And I'd much prefer to play this, as much as I hate Be'lakor, I'd much prefer to play this than 50 or 55 Blight Kings. Those games are just soulless.
They are soulless, and this has got more. I love the Witherstave inclusion, and I like that what that generally, we talk about a lot that with Archaon, but I think people have gone backwards to the Witherstave in a load of ways because of what we've seen with Archaon, and all as a reflection to Skinks, Salamanders, and of course Lumineth Realm Lords. Kind of brings me to the question though in this list, like you said with Be'lakor, how do you feel about Bellacor's new War Scroll? You take an opportunity to look at it, right? Like, so the points increase, wound increase, output increase. How do you feel?
Yeah. I'd like to see it in the context of armies and see it on the table. It doesn't feel that hitty. I get that he's got a better combat profile now, but yeah, I think my initial feel is that probably we'll see less play because the old one was just so undercosted. Like when you're in the 200 and whatever points bracket and you're ethereal, and you're a 2-caster and you're stopping a unit and you don't have to even be alive, like you're almost an auto include. But as you up the points, you have to lose something to bring him in now. So it's going to be interesting. I don't care whether they're creative or not. If they've got a good war scroll, right, and they roll it back out the next year, I'm fine with that. Like
me too. I think, like you said, he was only in lists so often because of how cheap he was. Yeah, I think now he's genuinely a unit that you take because you're taking his role with his additional bonuses, which I think is probably better because really before it was a gimmick that you were including because it was cheap, and now he's been given a more comprehensive war scroll to be a thing or not. Like you get to choose. So like I think there's a better kind of parity. But yeah. Very interesting.
I like him into spoilers. I think into spoilers he'll see some play because he gets a 5-up after save and he heals wounds in the hero phase. And also he can make things pitch black so that then the opponent can't see him. So I think into spoilers he could be really good, and there's probably some lists there if you have an opportunity to play around with it.
As well. Like, but
Yep.
we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
sure.
see, like you said. Okay, Brody, with his Cities of Sigmar Tempest Eye list. So, love this list, by the way. So he's got a Knight of Zeros, 3 Guild General on Griffin, which is 320 points, which is quite a bit for that, but that's fine. And then he's the command trait Swift as the Wind, and he's got the Seer Stone Amulet, as well, which is going to be that +1 wound. And then he's got the 2 Gun Haulers, and then in the Aether Guard Windrunners Battalion, he's got the 2x5 Free Guild Outriders, and then the 5x10 Free Guild Pistoliers. Love this list. We saw this play really well in 2020's Sheffield Slaughter. Joe Purcell was running it. I don't know if I've seen it run at many other events. I don't know if it was at CanCon at all. But like, how do you feel about this list? This is pretty unique and it's rarely played, but I think it's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The gun haulers are in the battalion as well. So it's really cool because they're part of Tempest Eye, the Caradron Overlord. So what's it giving you? Retreat and shoot and retreat and charge. And it's reducing the drop. So you're just a 2-drop with the Knight of Zeros there. Typically, you'd see this list taken with the Hurricanum for +1 to hit. Also, there's a spell there for +1 attack, or there's a long-range magic missile, which is really good. And typically, you'd see Hawk-Eyed rather than Swift as the Wind. I don't know, like, run and charge on the Griffin is fine. But I think it's run and charge and possibly also fight first. But I just think, Hawk-Eyed for +1 to wound when you're shooting and then shooting again in the charge phase with all those pistoliers probably would be the stronger build. But whatever, if you wanna run your Griffin in there and have him bop something on the head, that's really cool as well. And I just love all of the War Scroll stuff going on with this army. So the gun haulers have an amazing War Scroll where they're able to teleport around and apply pressure and steal objectives and do mortals in multiple phases. Pistoliers fighting after they've charged, or shooting, which is even better than fighting, shooting after they've charged. The volume of shots you get out of a handgunner unit, like I think statistically the math on what are they called, an outrider is better than the ones with the big guns is better than the handgunners. So 5 outriders actually do more damage, and I think handgunners are a really awesome unit. So I think this is a cool list, and +1 save from Tempest Eye, extra move, extra run, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Yeah. Really great list. Love this. Big fan. So then moving on, Sam Morgan. Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. Vampire Lord on Nightmare. Necromancer, 3x10 zombies, 20 Hex Wraiths, 3x5 Hex Wraiths in the Dolores Guard with an extra command point. Now, we've had you on the show before to talk about your Hex Wraiths in this. You've been running them pretty religiously. What changes have you made, or what's kind of key without trying to give away too much strategy, I guess?
I can give away it all, I don't care. So the list that I spoke about with you previously was oriented around the Death Riders Battalion, which includes a Black Coach and some Dreadblade Harrows. And that one you could fight if you made a successful charge of 9 or more on the dice. This one we've shifted over to Dolores Guard, so +1 attack on the charge, and the general, if they're within 3 inches of any of the Hex Wraiths, handballs wounds on a 2+. Which is just amazing. So this particular list, basically we wind the Hex Wraiths up and they go in and do 320 attacks, and they're re-rolling misses. So the re-rolling misses is obviously really important because it means we're able to proc those 6s for mortal wounds against things that are debuffing to hit and against things that are making us re-roll 6s to hit. And 320 as like a volume exercise. If I play against that Gargant's list and he groups his army together, I'll kill his whole army in one combat phase. His whole army, every single model. And if he spreads his army out, I'll just pick them off. So like the amount of damage that you're able to consistently do, and that's supported then by the Guardian of Souls, gives them +1 to wound. So obviously you wind them up as best you can, and you throw them into the world. And then the Dragon, he's got a really cool artifact. He's got the Cloak of Mist and Shadows, and it lets you teleport. The teleports are within, not a wholly within. So because he's on 130 mil base, within means a 12-inch teleport becomes 17.1 inches. So what he can do is he can charge a frontline unit, and then he can bounce 17.1 inches over and then pile in 3. So he ends up 20 inches away from where he charged. It also means that he can avoid all sorts of activation war shenanigans. So he can just sit obviously outside of 3 because he's charged, then pile in. And if they charge me in their turn, I just teleport him away. So he's really cool. He's awful. Like the the vampire on zombie dragon is not good. I've been running two Mortek crawlers in the games where like I'm trying to take a stronger list, and to the 2-dayer I'll run 2 crawlers. But I thought this was going to be like a fun event. I didn't know there was going to be Change Host Arcanum, 2 times Ideneth, filthy Nurgle. Like I misread the room. I thought it was going to be a little bit more chill, but he'll be heaps of fun to play. And then everything just buffs, and I've got heaps of ways of bringing back wounds. So what can I do? I can bring back like 15 wounds, so 7 hex rates a turn in the big unit, and then I can bring back let's see, 6 across the other 2 units. So you can bring back 13 hex rates a turn, which is obviously pretty good.
That's very good, especially when they're really good. Okay, can I just thank Gitley for resubscribing? Big love to you, everyone else. The Sambi Dragon. All right, cool. Carlos G here, Skaven Tide. I like this list. I really want to ask you about this, actually. Arch Warlock, who's the general with the Verminous Valor, and he's got the Vial of the Fulminator, which means, of course, the Doomwheel is in there as well. At the bottom, there's the Grey Seer on Screaming Bell, and there's a Warlock Bombardier. They've all got more warp power, and then the Grey Seer's got Skitter Leap. Then there's 40, 20, 20 Clan Rats, so 80 bodies on the board. And then there's 6 Storm Fiends, 520 points still, which feels a lot. And then the Warp Lightning Cannon. And then he's also got the Warp Lightning Vortex, and he's spent an extra CP for that turn 1 kind of like immune to battle shock, which is smart.
Protection.
How do you feel about Skaven Wholesale? How do you feel about this list?
I think this might be Carlos's first event, and he's written a really clever and strong list. I think this is, this is probably the sort of direction that if I wasn't playing Clan Eshin, that I'd take my Skaven. Lots of Clan Rats, they're fantastic, and then ably supported by good casters. The endless spells are good, aren't they? So the purple sun, because you can pop up. What you can do is skitter leap over to next to a piece of +1 to cast terrain. Then you can cast your endless spell, and then you can teleport away back behind your lines. So you can do these really low risk plays where you end up close to your opponent's deployment zone, throwing an endless spell through, and then being completely safe when it goes to their turn. I think overall Skaven is not the army it was on release. On release, it had a number of rules that were pretty unique to Skaven, and it was able to do damage and project power in a way that was pretty unique to Skaven. But now a lot of armies do that similarly but better. And from a bodies perspective, like a lot of armies that are able to also put out 100 bodies have a higher quality. So like a skink, for instance, versus a clan rat, they're not comparable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Overall,
go on. Sorry.
They're fine in the fat middle, aren't they?
I think so as well. But although, I think the Storm Fiends fell off because people couldn't take 9. The Skaven list that we saw at one point was so dominating it just won. It was the 9 with the buffs, with the bridge was a thing. But I still think this has got play. And I think that's one of the things, looking at Stuart with the Yetis and the other stuff, it's got all of the key components I would want in an army. It's got a janky endless spell, which is, very, very strong for, and we've seen that played quite well where it's not what it was, where it was an alpha strike. You start to play into the midfield and then you dump that in the middle of the board. That's horrific for your opponent to play into, especially when they've committed at that point. They've got bodies. They've got at least 80 bodies in those clan rats, and they're very, very cheap. They've got really strong magic, and then they've got some outrageous output from the Storm Fiends, and then the Doomwheel. I'd say probably the only thing really is that the Storm Fiends are the only threat. So if you've got something that can target that 520 points, then you're in a good spot. But I think it's got some legs, very playable as well as a list. When I looked at it, I was like, you've got loads of options. You can throw the Doomwheel out. You've got really strong command of the midfield, I think, in a load of different ways. You've got good ball control. I'm surprised we don't see it played more, but I think that we talk about Lumineth being a high skill cap. I think now this Skaven list is quite high, and it's very reliant on those spells as well. I think that's probably key. Yep. And plays hard into some top meta. Oh, he's also got the Purple Sun. Lol.
I like great. Purple Sun. Purple Sun's good, man.
Yeah, for 50 points, it's great. Right, so Liam A is running Ravagers in the Slaves to Darkness army. He's got Chaos Sorcerer Lord with Mask of Darkness, and he's got the Master of Deception. Then he's got another Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and then he's got a command trait, and then another Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount, who's got another command trait, and these are all marked, or at least he's marked Nurgle. The others don't seem to be marked. And then you've got 15 Chaos Warriors, 5 Chaos Knights, 15 Chaos Warriors, 10 Chaos Warriors. That's a lot of Chaos Warriors. in here. Like, what is that? 40 Chaos Warriors, 10 Chaos Chosen. They've all got Mark and Nurgle. The Chosen have got Sinesh actually, and then there's a War Shrine with Mark and Nurgle, and it's all in the Plague Touched Warband. So going for a very and he's bought a CP. We haven't seen this list before. Well, I haven't seen lists. I've seen lists similar to this, but this is a very interesting take. I don't know if you know much about the player, Liam.
No, I don't. Ravagers is really cool, isn't it? Because he's going to summon 50 Iron Golems or 50 Marauders or some combination of those two units, you would imagine, over the course of the game, which, that is a significant number of bodies in an army that's already got a lot of hard to get through wounds. The combination of Nurgle and the War Shrine is obviously fantastic from a durability perspective, and Chaos Warriors innately having reroll saves and innately having a 5-up mortal wound save makes them difficult to get through anyway. I do see this army struggling to hurt anything, but maybe it just relies on splashback wounds and having more bodies, and that's a legitimate way of playing Slaves to Darkness. So I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think the splashback damage is actually really interesting, especially those Chaos Warrior blocks, especially with reroll saves coming out of those Chaos Sorcerer Lords from Oracular Vision, which is just auto. So that's
well, the Warriors just get it anyway. The Warriors have it on their War Scroll.
But you can just throw it on.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So they've got a lot of rerolls to proc that Plague Touch Warband, right? They can throw it on the Chaos Knights. It's just so good. I really like that list, by the way. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, me too. It's cool. It's really cool.
Jacob's running Mortis Praetorians, OCR Bone Reapers list, Arcan and Catacross again. Then he's got 20, 10, and 10 Mortec, and he's got 2 Morghast Harbingers, and he's got the Harvester in this situation. So very similar to what we've seen before, just the key kind of inclusion of those Harbingers. Got any feelings on that, or you just think that's fine?
I think he's got the Death Riders instead of the second block of Mortec Guard. So he goes 20, 10, and then 10 Death Riders. And I really like the inclusion of the Death Riders. I think that's good for, that additional speed. I like the 6-inch pile-in. I like mortal wounds on the charge. I think they're a really good unit to have in an army like this. And being able to bring back 2 a turn is really significant as well, because you can obviously do some janky stuff with stringing them out.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I like that. And I like the Harbingers in the list. It's just they fight so much for points in there. Next up, Dion, if I'm saying that right, with Sylvaneth and Winterleaf, dear God. Arch Revenant and Spirit of Durthu, Branch Wraith and another Branch Wraith. And then he's got 20 Dryads, 5 Tree Revenants and 5 Spite Revs. Then he's got this is the big one, he's got the 2 blocks of Colonel Hunters, 6 of them with one with great swords, one with great bows. And he's got another little pocket, 3 with scythes. And then he's got the Free Spirits Battalion in here. Have you got any kind of feelings on this particularly? If anything, Winterleaf is one of the more chosen. That and Dreadwood are the kind of 2 more taken sub-factions for Sylvaneth.
So you can do auto run 6. That's what the battalion gives you. But then you can't run and charge. So that, Sylvaneth is a mess, man. There's another list coming up, which I'm kind of in love with, so I'll hold off on my Sylvaneth views till afterwards.
We'll go down. So loads of love to Dion. Like those 6 hunters, though, 380 points for those great bows.
Yeah.
And when you compare them to Sentinels, is outrageous points. But you compare them to Blitzbarb Archers, and you're like, this is great. So so next up, Sam SB. This is my list of the day. So it's Eternal Conflagration Tzeentch. He's got Lord of Change, obviously, Change Caster, and this is all in the Change Host. Then he's got an Exalted Flamer, 6 Flamers, 2 times 3 Flamers, and I was like, that's a lot. And then he's got 30 pinks, 3 lots of 10 pinks. And I was like, does that all fit? Is the math right there? But this is wild. I love this. What do you think?
Yep, that's a list. That is definitely a list. This is really strong. This is really strong. The
whole army's got rend.
Yeah. I think +1 to wound from the what's his name, Lord of Changes artifact, and then all of the pluses to hit through the Flamer's War Scroll means that that he's getting to that stage where he's 2s and 3s or 2s and 2s, whatever he can get to, and then hitting you with Rem 1 and just the volume of shooting in the army, the number of bodies. This should be super competitive. I think Sam has podiumed at the last 2 events that he's gone to, so he's been running lists like this or perhaps even this exact list. So I would anticipate in the first round, I think he's got the other Zench player. Whoever wins that will win the event, I reckon. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if this list beats Archeon, because it doesn't. The sixes to hit are irrelevant to it, and getting the cheeky pip of Rend is just helpful, isn't it? Like,
yeah, you can also flood Archeon with just saves. You just so many shots coming out of this. All right, next up, you've got the Legion of Grief run by. Have you got the list by any chance, Sam?
Yes, I have got it.
Okay. Yeah. If you just read through it, I'm just going to quickly go unhydrate for a second. If you want to grab
by
that,
all means,
thanks, buddy.
All right, Anthony. So Anthony is the captain. He's led a bit of a coup at my club. We were captain and presidented by Will, our founder, and Anthony snuck up and stabbed him in the back. No, he's Will's off having a baby, so or Will's partner. It would be amazing if Will was having a baby. So Anthony's the El Capitani for the model citizens, and he's running the Legion of Grief. So he's got a Dreadblade Harrow as the general, which obviously makes sense in Legion of Grief. You're able to return slain units through a gravesite, but the general needs to be nearby. So the fact that the Dreadblade Harrow can teleport around the board makes that command ability really portable and really strong. He's then got a Guardian of Souls, a Knight of Shrouds, a Necromancer, a Spirit Torment, and did I say Guardian of Souls already? Yeah, he's got two. Oh my God, he's got so many characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's taken 6 characters. I think that's a bit excessive, Anthony. And they all do a range of things. So the Necro's giving him fight twice. Those Guardian of Souls are giving him +1s to wound and bringing back D6 models. The Spirit Torment couples later on with the Chain Ghasts in terms of creating these pockets where the units are getting reroll 1s to hit, which is obviously really important in an army that predominantly is hitting on 4s. He's then got 40 Chain Rasps, 10 Chain Rasps, 10 Chain Rasps, 20 Blade Geists, 2 Chain Ghasts. It's debatable whether Chain Ghasts are the best or second best unit in Nighthaunt. I'm in an ongoing fight with Luke Morton, who's categorically wrong because he thinks they're the best. It's Hex Wraiths, 20 Dreadscythe Harridans, 10 Dreadscythe Harridans. No one takes Harridans, so big props to Anthony, and that comes in at 144 wounds. So what you can do with Legion of Grief is there's some really cool stuff around debuffing bravery, but you can also just recycle units, and it opens up unit options that don't otherwise exist, like the Blade Geist, for instance, in Legions of Nagash. So the way that this list works is that Anthony's able to hold some units off the board that'll come up in the grave sites. He's able to set up lines that he pushes into you, and if you kill the first line, he recycles them, and the second line charges in and fights you. So it's really cool. The Dreadscythe Harridans have a significant volume of attacks, whereas the Blade Geists, they have maybe fewer attacks overall, but they're going to be on 3s to hit re-rolling and then 2s to wound from those Guardian of Souls, so that they're able to identify the unit that they're trying to fight and then take it out to a wound, because realistically, if I've got 3 attacks each, I've got 60 attacks, I'm going to hit you with rerolls, I'm going to hit you 50 times, and I'm wounding on 2s. I'm going to do 40 damage at Rem 1, and that means I'm going to clear this. And that obviously, the reliability of the Blade Geist is great. The fact that they can retreat and charge is also terrific.
Apologies about that. Hey, welcome back.
I was just freestyling, so you're fine. We're talking about a military coup, so that was good.
All right, nice. That's the best bit. You did great, I'm sure.
I love the Legion of Grief. I think Anthony's a great guy, great list. Middle tables.
Perfect. I mean, Legion of Grief are pushing a whole bunch of stuff uphill, ultimately, but you're having fun doing it. I think that's pretty good. Next up, so this is a Sylvaneth list I think you wanted to talk about, which is C1. Am I saying that right? Okay.
I'm not actually sure. I have to apologise. I always call this guy mate or dude because he's at my club. So on Saturday, I'll make a point of introducing myself and getting your name right.
Okay. All right. So Arch Revenant, Tree Lord Ancient, all in Winterleaf, by the way, with a Branch Wraith. 3 times 5 Spite Revenants, 3 times 10 Dryads, and then 12 Kurnoth Hunters, 760 points in one unit with Scythe in the Forest Folk Outcast Battalion. Talk to me how you feel about this.
I love it. Okay, Winterleaf, 6s explode. Fantastic. Winterleaf command ability, look at a unit and nuke it. You know those nuke spells like the old Zench guy that summons pink horrors? Yep. You hit a unit and you roll a dice for everyone, and 6s are mortals. Fantastic. The 12 guys come in, they have 3 attacks each. They're like 3s and 3s, Ren 2, damage D3, but then the Arch Revenant buffs it up so it's 4 attacks each. And then the artifact means once per game you get to fight twice with them. So they go in and there's like 12 of them, 48 attacks, 6s explode, fighting twice, rerolling once to hit because that's the other Arch Revenant ability. And then he's brought in the Endless Spell, which is +3 to run and charge. And that's on a caster that's able to cast 2 spells a turn. So the first thing that he does is casts the Throne of Vines. So he's got a higher casting value than for the Endless Spell. And then the spell that the Tree Lord has, every turn brings back a Kurnoth Hunter, and it is automatically cast and cannot be unbound. Wow. So he just gets five Kurnoths back over the course of the game.
Into the big brick.
Into the big brick. So you can do stuff like you can run them up the board, right? And then you can start adding your models to the front of the unit, then adding +3 to movement and charge. You can get in, you can go doof, 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 and you can just kill stuff. And then when it's your opponent's turn, your whole army dies. So it's like, for me, this is the best army at the event. When I saw this, I was just like, oh, dude, you're a hero. You're a hobby hero. You deserve to be applauded.
Yeah, okay, no, I'm into that. Like, and I love that. Like, I was like, I definitely have 12 cards with Scythes. This sounds really fun. And push in. And it's like, I mean, in your opponent's turn, they get to reroll their saves. They just plant their feet and they're like, cool, I'm rerolling my save now. I mean, there's enough Rend out there and Mortal Wounds probably to chew through them, and shooting as well. But yeah, I like
He's got
that.
screens. He's got screens in this army. I think everything that's not a Kurnoth Hunter should be screening a Kurnoth Hunter, even if that means you're sacrificing Treeman, like, to do it.
Yeah, of course. Awesome, well done. Yeah, big love to that. Like, that's fun to see. Then next up we have John. I don't think I missed anything. No, I haven't.
No, John's a TO. So let's skip John because then they've got a stand-in now as the the backup player if there's odd numbers.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So then Hayden Ford, he's running Seraphon, Fangs of Sotek. He's got the Ashloth Banner Bearer. He's got Croak, Skink Priest, 2 Star Priests in there as well. So very, very standard so far. That's like pretty much the loadout. 5 Saurus Guard, yeah. 2 times 40 Skinks, yeah. 2 times 5 Chameleon Skinks. And then the new pocket play for Seraphon is 3 Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows, the 2 allies of 3 Aether Wings, and then Bellwind Vortex, bound Geminids, and then bound Purple Sun, which you don't see very often, and then the extra command point. So I'm going to say fairly standard up until the Vanguard Raptors. No inclusion of Salamanders. How do you feel about this list?
There are 18 good blokes and Hayden Ford attending this event.
Hayden.
This is the strongest list in Warhammer. This is legitimately this exact loadout is the strongest list. That can be a clickbait. This is the strongest list in Warhammer. I've played and lost to this numerous times. The Raptors are disgusting. The Aether Wings mean that this version of Fangs is protected from the Alpha in a way that no other Seraphon list that I've seen is able to do. So things like Marathi are really problematic to Seraphon, but they're not problematic if she cops a turn of Aether Wings in, the turn she comes in, and then the Fangs have enough time to kill the rest of the Daughter's army. So I think, this is, from my perspective, this is top dog. And if Hayden's got some reps in, he's going to win a lot of events this year if this list is able to make it through the GHB and whatever's going to come from a 3rd edition perspective. I just want to give a quick rundown on what you can do with the long strikes. So your Ziggurat, right?
Yeah.
If you're within 6 inches of that, your long strikes are set up in there. They don't move. Then they get the extra range. So they've got that huge thing. They've already got 30 inches, huge footprint, and they've already got 30 inches, and they've just teleported 6 inches up. So that it means that the long strikes can get the backboard edge turn 1.
Wow.
When Croak can already do that turn 1 thing. So what that means is that the likelihood of him killing support characters is higher than other Fangs armies. Then he drops down camos and they can obviously box you in, and then you can sit Skinks behind that. And then in turns 2, 3, and 4, you can summon Skinks as well. And I think the bound Purple Sun is overlooked by Seraphon players. I think Seraphon players are simple. I think they're cold-blooded, and they just haven't seen yet how oppressive that can be. Because you think about, imagine it hitting 12 Kurnoth Hunters 2 Colonel Hunters dead and it's just sitting on the unit now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can spike as well. And if it hits a unit of like 20 Hearth, there's a whole number of matchups where that Purple Sun, it should be incredibly scary. And it's cast on an 8, so they need to hit a 9 to dispel it. Yeah, really, really good. Really, I think underrepresented, and if I'm glad we don't see more of the bound Purple Sun. Bound spells are a real issue for the game. Like bound spells are so bad to play against.
I was writing my Age of Sigmar pack today, and it's just banned. It's the one of the few house comps. I was like, and it's like if someone like that, I don't want you to ban it. I'm like, I don't care. Like you have enough other stuff. You have enough other stuff.
Don't come. Like they're your options, really. Like,
yeah. Like I mean, not having bound and the spells does nothing to make the power level. I mean, it does nothing to. It's still very strong, but yeah, bound and the spells are problematic. I mean, bound. We've talked about this before, but obviously Bellacor's bringing up bound shards of Valagar, or even if you can get really you can have loads of fun with bound, like on the Soul Seeker as well. Because
mate.
Yeah. Just end the conversation. So it should be double the points or whatever the situation. But I talk about the Chameleon Skinks as well. Chameleon Skinks mint, love them in the list as well, and I think that's really good. So much CP, and like you said, the Vanguard Raptors with the block, and then also Fang. So you've got shoot retreat, really, really, really strong. So yeah,
you got this big dilemma: do you go first or second? And if you give them first, they accumulate 4 or 5 command points. And then they're feeling pretty safe, and maybe they're able to set up some defensive play in terms of the Geminid sitting in front of your army and the Purple Sun, maybe a screen. And then if you give them second, they're on for the double. And I think if Fangs ever get a double against you, they will win the game. I think that is the power that they're able to project means that they'll table almost anything in the game. So, real dilemma whenever you're playing them, and something that you probably need to, if you want to win events, probably something you need to think about before the event. How am I going to deal with Fangs, and what am I going to do in terms of the turn sequencing?
What do you do against such unnatural hate is the real question, and it's a hard answer. Okay. Looks like a really great event. Not one of the only events happening at the week, not the weekend, but happening over in Australia. Good bit of news coming out of Australia as well is the Toowoomba Open. Is it called the Open? I think it is. Sold out, which is really exciting. And I think you're going to that, right?
Yeah, can't wait. So it's at the end of August. Me, Chris Welfare, Simon, just sort of net listing dads. That's the crew.
And the event's being run by Gemma, Mick, and Is it Gary?
Yeah, Gary up there. So it's going to be really fun. I've never been there. Apparently, as a city, it's wild, in all the most debaucherous ways. So we've we got some pretty redneck places here, but I hear it's even a tier above. So I'm looking forward to getting to experience that, immerse myself in the culture.
I just imagine there being thousands of Dennises, and I'm super into that.
Fantastic. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be perfect in so many ways. All right, you got any kind of other final thoughts about the list here and the matchups?
All right, I'm going to quickly run through the matchups because I want to do these guys justice. So Josh, who won the last event, is going to win round 1. He's playing Idneth into Sylvaneth.
Yeah.
So Idneth into Sylvaneth, Idneth wins. Matty O, he's playing Sons of Behemoth, and he's playing against the Shooting Pistoliers list. So he's going to get shot off. That's all right. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself. Lean into it. Anthony with the OBR with 2 crawlers is playing against the Skaven. So I think that the OBR will win that one. Jacob with the OBR is playing against the Legion of Grief. I'm going to go for Legion of Grief just because Anthony's the captain of my club, and I don't want him to kick me out of the club. I really enjoy going and playing Warhammer there. I think that's the safe bet. Don't want to have my membership card revoked. Bevan with the Ogre Boar Tribes is playing against the OBR list with Nagash. So that should be really interesting because obviously Nagash can Hand of Dust things still, which Hand of Dusting an Ogre Frostlord on Stonehorn is pretty cool. I'm going to give it to Bevan just because of the number of mortal wounds that they do. I think we saw on the stream on the weekend, the cumulative effect of all those mortals can be really significant. And I think he's just going to kill everything in the OBR list ultimately. We've got Nurgle with the Plague Touch Warband playing against Sylvaneth. Oh, man. The 6s to hit will explode, but then they'll be re-rolled. So that's sad.
Very sad.
the trick doesn't work. It's been turned off. I think, the Nurgle will win that one. Zench versus Zench. That's the most interesting matchup of the first round. What do you reckon?
I think it goes to the Change Host because the one thing that you can't do with the Archaon build is you wind it up and you sling it forward, or you put it as a threat. But you can play such an easy castle with that. Depends on the battle plan.
It's Scorched Earth, so I think...
First round? Oh, well, it depends.
Yeah.
If he's dumb and he deploys in the middle, then he maybe loses. But if he just deploys strong on a flank, then all he does is just roll up. Archaon has to come over and engage with the castle because it's all he's got to do, and then he just flamers them off over a couple of turns. As long as he can screen well enough with the pinks, he gets his micromanagement done well enough, then he's just got bodies for days, and he can just burn him to pieces. And maybe it's a slow burn game. It probably going to rely on priority rolls 2 into 3 for who's going to cap some objectives. But then the Tzeentch Archaon list should steamroll, and also the Change Host is going to love him generating extra points. So to just drop some other blues all over the place because the Archaon list needs to cast, and the Change Host list doesn't need to cast. So sure. if he wants to fate point starve him, like we saw done so well by Stephen at the weekend, then I think that's not to say that it's a foregone conclusion, because I think you can play it badly. But I think that's one of the few armies that can tank and spank very, very effectively. So, and he just has to send Archaon forward. There's no other options. So,
well, yeah, it's half his army, isn't it? So if he doesn't do that, then all of a sudden he's playing 1,000 points versus 2,000 points, and then that's never going to end well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm saying it's the Change Host in that situation, depending on how it's played.
And then, I agree. Me is Death GA versus Nick with the Stormcast. My list just eats Stormcast. I played the matchup like 10 times. Hexwraiths just and because they don't fly, 10 zombies cost 60 points. So his 520 evocators, the most they're ever going to do is kill 10 zombies. That trade is just great for me. So I think I'll win that, but who knows? Now that I've said it, Nick will probably shoot me off with the camo skinks. Take it off.
Also, I feel like if we're getting towards the end of Age of Sigmar 2, we can at least say that Nagash, I think, has won the Soul Wars. We see a lot more death units than we ever see Stormcast. So, after you.
All right, then we got Slaves to Darkness in that cool list versus the Idoneth Deepkin without any deep strikes. I think the Slaves to Darkness will just win. I think they'll out-tank the Idoneth, and I think if the Idoneth go in and they chuck a heap of attacks in, they're just going to cop a heap of mortal wounds back. They're going to, I like the Slaves to Darkness in that matchup. If it was Morsar Guard would destroy them, but against the Ishlan, whatever. We don't have Rend anyway. We don't kill stuff. We just have more bodies than you. And if he summons 50 bodies over the course of the game, that's like 3 times as many bodies as the Idoneth player even has. I'm all about Darkness.
Thanks to the Grey Lycan for resubscribing. Big love to you. Finally, it took me 3 months to learn his name, but I nailed it. Sorry, Sam. After you continue.
You're right, man. We've gone forever. I'm sure we've run over your quota here. People have finished their lunch breaks there.
No. Is that all the matchups?
That's all the matchups. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Lovely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. It's been very, very fun, very informative. That's happening this weekend, right? So me and Owen are going to be able to talk about it on the Stat Center on Monday.
Yeah, if I do well, I'll send you the stats immediately. And if I take a couple of losses, you guys probably won't get them.
Perfect. That's exactly right. To quote Darren, it's going to be so fun for you to roll Warhammer, so you can ask people how their games were, just so they ask you how your game went, which is really why we ask. That's really why we ask. Any shout-outs before we go, Sam?
Adam Burt, great guy.
Fucking Adam Burt. What a funny bastard. Yeah, definitely. All right, amazing. Thanks to the Twitch chat. Thanks to everyone on Patreon. Thanks to everyone who listens to the podcast and everyone on YouTube. You're all brilliant. Thank you very much. Join me again tomorrow. Tomorrow's very exciting. I've got Stuart McCowan on, who is... I mean, I don't think I can probably hype that up enough. Along with Sam, some of those rare players who just keep pushing the envelope of what the Age of Sigmar can be. Stuart's done so well, as we already know. With he was doing Iron Guts really, really well. Then we started to see him do with Yetis. It's just been really interesting to hear what his take is. We saw him play some phenomenal games on TTS over the week before. So it'd be really interesting to hear what his take is generally on Age of Sigmar. I haven't heard him publicly. You know him, Sam, right?
Yeah, he's from my club. So Stuart and I are from the same club, Model Citizens. He's a musician. You should go check him out on iTunes. Everyone that listens to his song, he gets like a cent or whatever. So let's just build it up. Build it up.
God.
He's an awesome pianist. Like I'll send you his album after this. A really,
you should
really
ask him
talented
if he'll
dude.
do like the theme music for the show. Like...
Yeah, 100%. He'll be amazing. I'm sure he can compose. He's multi talented dude.
All right, amazing. So that's going to be really good. So do join us again for that tomorrow. Thanks for being here, and goodbye, everyone. Look after you. Oh, we've got to raid someone. Sam, sorry, let me give... Sorry. Let me give you the gift. Would you like to raid a Warhammer person or get creepy and weird?
I went to the improv one when we raided the improv a couple of weeks ago, and that was really weird, man. That was really weird.
Get back there. Or
no, I don't. Something along those lines could be good, yeah.
Okay, so talk shows and podcasts are always really fun. Nope, definitely not doing that one. Try and find something. I probably should prep this ahead of time, but you never know who's going to be live. Is kind of the key takeaway. Who knows? Nope, not that. Podcasting is full of some interesting folk. Is what I'm going to say. Is the nicest way of putting it. Come on, something's got to stand out. Oh no. The late morning at lunch. Radio you can watch. Not into that. That doesn't sound fun. Sorry about this. I'm just trying to find... There's a lot of like InfoWars stuff, which you have to generally avoid. That's the main problem. Like the top like 3 are all like InfoWar based stuff, and I'm like, this is too much for me. Let's do this. I have no idea what this is, but this looks fun and weird. So let's go do that. I probably should get one of the mods to like go prep a channel in the future, but that sounds way too serious as a channel thing. Thank you, Sam, for listening to the show. Being on the show. You're great. I'll talk to you soon.